Genesis chapter 2. Thus heaven and earth and all the furniture of them were completed. By the seventh day God had come to an end of making and rested on the seventh day, with his whole task accomplished. That is why God gave the seventh day his blessing and hallowed it, because it was the day on which his divinity, his divine activity of creation finished. Such origin heaven and earth their fashioning, why heaven and earth God made. When heaven and earth God made, no woodland shrub had yet grown, no plant had yet sprung up. The Lord God had not yet sent rain upon the ground, that still had no human toil to cultivate it. There was only spring water which came up from the earth and watered its whole surface. And now, from the clay of the ground, the Lord God formed man, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and made of man a living person. God had planted a garden of delight in which he now placed the man he had formed. Here, at the bidding of the Lord God, the soil produced all such trees as charm the eye and satisfy the taste. And here, in the middle of the garden, grew the tree of life and the tree which brings knowledge of good and evil. The garden was watered by a river. It came out from Eden and went on to divide into four branches. One is called Pishon. It is the river which surrounds all the country of Havilah, a gold-producing country. No gold is better. Bdellium is found there too, and the onyx stone. The second river is called Gihon, and is the river which surrounds the whole country of Ethiopia. The third river which flows past the Assyrians is called Tigris, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. So the Lord God took the man and put him in his garden of delight to cultivate and tend it. And this was the command which the Lord, thou know of all the trees in the garden except the tree which brings knowledge of good and evil. If ever thou eatest of this, thy doom is death. But the Lord said, it is not well that man should be without companionship. I will give him a mate of his own kind. And now from the clay of the ground all the beasts that roam the earth and all that flies through the air were ready fashioned. And the Lord God brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. The name Adam gave to each living creature is its name still. Thus Adam gave names to all the cattle, and all that flies in the air, and all the wild beasts. And still Adam had no mate of his own kind. So the Lord God made Adam fall into a deep sleep, and while he slept, took away one of his ribs, and filled its place with flesh. This rib, which he had taken out of Adam, the Lord God formed into a woman. And when he brought her to Adam, Adam said, here at last is bone that flesh that comes from mine. It shall be called woman, this thing that was taken out of man. That is why a man is destined to leave father and mother and cling to his wife instead, so that the two become one flesh. Both went naked, Adam and his wife, and thought it no shame.